This is the only cookbook you will ever need. Whether you are a newbie in the kitchen or a veteran, this takes the thinking out of all of it and does everything for you. It is 26 weeks of meals for your entire family, and it's not a traditional meal prep cookbook. Usually you cook something on a Sunday, like 6 different meals, and they all get put inside of containers and go inside of your fridge, and then you're microwaving throughout the week. It's just leftovers. This is not what this is. This is a full comprehensive shopping list that will give you 3 specific meals for the week. You're going to be shopping for a protein, a starch, and some veggies, and you are going to be able to put them all together and do prep on one day, and then combine them throughout the week into 3 different flavor profiles. Seriously, this is by far the best cookbook ever. I know you're thinking, okay, this is a homesteading channel, why is she doing a book review? I, honest to God, plan my entire existence now around this cookbook. 1, it gives you a full list of every single thing that you need in picture form. There are pictures of all of the proteins, all of the vegetables, and all of the starches, which sometimes is another vegetable in this case. And how I like to use this cookbook is to see what I have on hand, like what's already in your pantry, right? What do you have on hand? And I can go and look at what I have and then pick a week with a corresponding vegetable that's currently in season in my garden, or protein that I have on hand in my freezer, or a starch that I also have on hand, whether it be rice or pasta or, I don't know, potatoes. And pick a week that has all 3 of them and just start cooking and shopping from there. So in this video, I am not going to be cooking through any of these recipes. I'm sure there's videos of that, but I just want to give you a full comprehensive review of why this is the best and only cookbook you are ever going to need. All right, so let's get started. First and foremost, it is 26 weeks of meal plans. There's 52 weeks in a year, so do the math. You can cook through all of them twice and you're good to go. You literally don't need anything. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you are somebody who homesteads and raises your own animals for meat, you can go to the table of contents and look at the different meat options that are offered. I don't see any fish on here. It is just beef, chicken, pork, in various forms and cuts. There's turkey on here. You can raise all of those things and know where your food is coming from. Also, for lists of vegetables, we've got broccoli, zucchini, cauliflower, tomatoes, bell peppers, carrots, kale, green beans, collard greens. We have the winter squashes, the spaghetti squash, the butternut squash, the acorn squash. Those are all great things you can grow over the summer and store over the winter. We have sweet potatoes, we have russet potatoes, we have Yukon Gold potatoes, we have red potatoes. She features a couple different types of cabbage in here, plantains, parsnips, and mushrooms. Now, I'm in zone 3 and I can grow every single thing in this book except for plantains. So when you think about it, if you're somebody who homesteads or gardens and you grow your own food, this book is, you literally can just grow or raise whatever is mentioned in here and you're set. You don't have to go shopping for anything but pantry items. So like your canned goods and your rice or any of your dry products, right? Unless you're somebody who grows that as well, if you have the space to do so. So that is why I find this book to be by far the absolute best ever. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't have a homestead or who doesn't have the space to grow your own food necessarily, you're still saving so much money because there is a no waste approach to this book, right? You're buying in bulk, you are cooking everything specifically for specific recipes, and so there's not going to be any waste. Everything's getting used. I absolutely hate going to the grocery store and walking through and being like, oh my gosh, what am I making this week? What am I going to cook? What does my family want to eat? This takes the guesswork out of it and returns so much valuable and precious time to your life that you otherwise would be spending on planning meals for yourself. So a full overview of how this works. She breaks the 26 weeks into 3 recipes. So you're given a shopping list, and on your shopping list, you are going to be covering your 3 main meals for the week, right? So I'm just going to look at week 2 right here. So the 3 things it's asking me to get is ground beef, zucchini, and mushrooms. So those are going to be my 3 main items that I'm going to use to cook 3 recipes throughout the week. Now the recipes that I'm going to be using with those main ingredients for this week is going to be a spinach artichoke mitza, enchilada stuffed zucchini boats, and a ground beef stroganoff. So with those ingredients that I previously mentioned, you can make those 3 separate meals. What she also does, and this is a little bit of a different shopping list, but she gives you what's called bonus dinner options, right? Obviously there are 7 days in a week. You're not going to just be eating dinner 3 times a week, but usually the average family probably is cooking 4 to 5 nights a week. So she gives you 2 bonus options per week. You obviously can use what you have on hand and pick a bonus option from a different week if you don't end up having whatever's listed in that week. But the bonus option dinners are things that come together in less than 30 minutes. So for this week, she has an easy tuna steak, crispy Brussels sprouts, and spinach salad, all of which the recipes and ingredients are going to be in the back of the book in a separate section for the bonus meals. And then she also has for dinner too, jerk pork tenderloin, braised collards, and basic cauliflower rice. Now, I'm not a big fish person, so I'm probably not going to choose a tuna steak dinner. My family likes fish. Maybe I'll make it for them if I'm feeling nice, but probably won't because I hate the smell of fish cooking. It's just vile and not right. I'm sorry if you like fish, but it's gross to me. So anyways, how also this works is you have a prep day, right? So instead of slaving for hours, making 6 meals for the whole entire week, you're going to end up having about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of prep time. On this day, you're prepping your protein in bulk. So it's like you're not just buying, 3 or 4 chicken breasts to make for yourself for dinner that night and your family. You're going to be prepping like 12 of them, or however many you need for your family size. She gives a whole list and breakdown of that as well. And so you're going to be prepping your meat, prepping your veg. It might not necessarily mean that you're cooking your vegetables, but you're going to be doing all the chopping, all the processing, peeling. If you're peeling potatoes or carrots, all of that's going to happen on this day. And then when it comes time for the actual meal prep days, you're going to go to the picture and the page that corresponds with it for the recipe, and it's going to tell you all the different things that you have to do. So it usually starts with preheating your oven, right? And then it tells you what to grab from what you've already pre-prepped to put into a new dish to throw into your oven and have a fresh cooked homemade meal on the table in like less than 25 minutes. So no, it's not going to be a cookbook that you're like, okay, I get to just cook once and I'm not doing anything else for the entire week. There is going to be some prep every single day, but it takes, instead of having a good hour and a half to 2 hours of prepping from start to finish a home cooked meal for your family, you're only going to have to do maybe 20 minutes of that because you already did all the prep a few days prior. So that is number one reason why you should get this book. Like, it's just so easy and time effective. It's going to save you such a headache of having to think about meals. You're going to be able to get so much of your time back. And also, I know I just mentioned that I absolutely hate fish, but there are some things on here that I'm like, okay, especially when it comes to gardening and growing your own food. In the event of an emergency, right? Let's just say that you are now responsible for all the food you eat. You can't go to a grocery store anymore. You have to either raise the animals yourself or grow the food yourself. I'm like, I want to start trying new things that I don't necessarily like. I want to try them and see how they go. So there was a recipe that we did. I want to say it was week 8 when we first got the book, and it called for like carrot fries. And me and my husband were like, oh, that just kind of sounds so gross. But one of the recipes called for carrot fries, and then the other one called for pickled carrots. So I'm not sure if you can see this picture, but I will make sure it's able to be seen later. And we ended up just doing the recipe as it said, and it was delicious. The pickled carrots were so good. They added such a nice flavor and brought out all the other flavors in the dish. It was in a Korean beef bowl. And then the carrot fries were surprisingly very sweet, but also savory and super, super easy to do. Something else that she does in this cookbook that I think is phenomenal, in the back of the book, she lists resources. Obviously, having certain tools makes doing work a lot easier, right? So instead of having to chop vegetables, if you have a food processor or a mandolin or something that you can cut them with quicker, it's going to make it easier for you, right? If you have a blender, it's going to be easier for you to mix things like an immersion blender or different things like that. If you have an Instant Pot, it's going to be much faster for you to cook things than it will be to do it traditionally. However, if you do not happen to have those items on hand, she gives you 3 ways to cook almost everything in this book. So a lot of people have Instant Pots. I'm not quite there yet. I'm afraid of the pressure and it exploding in my face. Might be an unreasonable fear, but that's just where I am with those. And when I had to do a brisket, I was able to follow the instructions just to cook it in a cast iron pan in my oven, and it came out fine. It took 4 hours instead of an hour and a half, but it was perfect and delicious. And again, it was something where I could set it and forget it, of course, until the timer went off and I had to turn my oven off to make sure I didn't burn my house down. But Super, super easy and super effective. And just a great overall way to have healthy food on the table. That's the other thing that's great about this is if you happen to follow any type of eating parameters, this book, everything in here is gluten-free, okay? So I know there are a lot of people who develop celiac disease within recent years. Why is that? Most likely because they're messing with our food. It's a story for another day. But this book doesn't have any gluten in it, and almost all the recipes in here can be adapted for people who are dairy-free and paleo as well. She does not specifically go into making this keto, but I'm pretty sure if you are somebody who's a veteran in that arena, you'll be able to navigate this as well. Really, what this book is so good for is teaching you how to plan and navigate things correctly, right? So it's like if you are somebody who's a veteran in the kitchen, you might think, okay, yeah, I'm following week 2 that has these mushrooms and broccoli and this beef, and I'm going to make a beef stroganoff. But you know something? I can also end up making this recipe with these ingredients as well, something that's not even mentioned in here. That might not happen if you're a beginner cook, but it just helps you to think about things differently. And usually when people are cooking out of a cookbook, you end up memorizing about 3 to 4 recipes and just regurgitating those week by week. What's nice with this is if you were to do that, you're going to be memorizing 3 different recipes per week and just being able to move throughout the kitchen in such a seamless flow that this just comes so much easier every single time that you decide to use it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get this book. I'm not being sponsored for this book by any means. I am not getting paid to recommend this to you unless you buy it from the link in my Amazon storefront. Besides that, this is honestly life-changing. I am obsessed with this. I only have 1 copy right now, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up getting another one to cook from and get all nasty because like I'm cooking and things are splattering, and then just one to keep in the car. Because that's also what I do. When I go grocery shopping now, I just bring this with me. I flip to whatever week I want to find. I go to the ingredient list and I just purchase all the ingredients that I need to purchase that I don't have on hand. Something else with this book, which is why I like it so much for homesteading and preparedness, is that with the ingredient list, it's broken up into fresh produce, meat and dairy, and your pantry items and your seasonings. So again, if you're somebody who grows your own food, or even if you're not, you're able to easily shop the store in sections and find exactly what you're looking for. Now, there was a recipe week we did, I forget which one it is, it might be week 15, but the recipe called for these diced tomatoes with green chilies in the can, right? We fell in love with that recipe, so the next time we went back to the store, I noticed that the cans of diced chilies were on sale. They were like 10 for $10 or something, so $1 a can. And we ended up buying a ton of them because now I'm going to have that as a pantry staple, so that when I'm going through this book again, I'll be like, oh, what do I have on hand? Oh, I have all the ingredients to make this on hand, even from the pantry. So this is a very smart way to shop. If you're a family that shops on a budget, you know, even if you're not, you can very easily grow your pantry, grow your garden, grow your animals that you might raise for food, and be able to save so much money, time and energy, and know what you're putting into your body because it came from, came from all your labor, your hard work in the garden, on your homestead, preparing and planning and doing all the things that you need to do to take care of your family. So again, whether you are a homesteader like myself, or you are just somebody living in an apartment in New York City or LA and you're just looking to save some money, this is by far the most effective cookbook on the market to do so. You will be able to get 3 solid meals a week and know that you're eating whole foods, okay? There is not any junk in here. Everything is a whole meal. And so when you're using this book, it's telling you simply to choose a week, right? So you're going to choose a week, you're going to pick whatever week that appeals to you and your palate and your family's palate that week. And then you're going to take this book and you're going to go shopping. And you're going to, probably before you go shopping, you want to take inventory of what you already have on hand. And then you're going to make a list and you're going to go shopping. Cross out the things you already have at home and just pick up what you need from the list that's remaining. Then when you get home, it's your day to start doing your prep. You're going to prep all the main components of those 3 meals, and then step 4 is you're just making those recipes. So as the days of the week come by, you're like, all right, I'm going to prep the ingredients that were already pre-cooked or pre-chopped or pre-peeled this day into the dinner for tonight, and then you store the leftovers. And then you just start over the next day or the next week, whenever it is that you want to do whatever it is that you're going to be cooking and choosing for your week of shopping. So she also has in here, in addition to the items she recommends for you to have in the kitchen to make things easier, a pantry stocking list. Again, this is kind of something that will happen as you're going through the list and as you're shopping the ingredients when you bring this to the store to shop weekly. I highly recommend, if something is on sale, grab more than one. Like if the recipe's calling for avocado oil that week and you notice avocado oil is on sale, grab 2 bottles. Just you have one on hand for the next time it's called in another recipe. Same thing with the canned goods or any of the dry goods. Just always be stocking up and having that in mind. And then also, it's very easy to customize this book and to switch out things for things that you don't eat. So let's just say that you don't want to have, brown rice or white rice. You want to use cauliflower rice instead. You can do that. Or if you don't want to do rice at all and you want to do a pasta, you can do that. The swaps are very easy. I mean, there's been countless times where the recipes called for ground beef or ground pork, and we didn't have that on hand, but my husband went hunting and we had ground venison, so we used that instead, and it's totally fine. The recipes come out just great. And so something else that's in here that I think people will find very helpful, I don't use this aspect of the book anymore, and I'm sure there's other families that will moderate this to what works for them, but she does a breakdown on page 11 of your family size and how many meals you want, whether you want to have, the 3 meals a week, or sometimes you want to stretch it to 6 meals a week. And then she tells you how to make it and what to shop and how to add on to the ingredient list to meet the capacity for your family's needs. So I kind of started doing my own thing with this. My husband eats a lot, I eat a lot, my son eats a lot, and so when I'm shopping, I'm just basically at this point doubling or tripling the meats and the veg and the starches in the shopping list so that I can make sure that we have enough for that night for dinner, enough of the meat prepped for the 3 meals for the week, and enough for all those meals to probably give us 2 full-size servings the next day for lunch. Sometimes I try to get 3 full-size servings so that we all have dinner the one day and then a lunch for myself, my husband, and my oldest son the following day. So that is my review of this book. I highly recommend that you get this book. You will not be disappointed. Everything in here is delicious. Nothing is boring. Nothing lacks flavor. It's all very flavorful, and you're not going to be feeling like you're eating the same thing every night, even though to a degree you are. She gives a breakdown in the very, very beginning of the book as an example of how it works, and she's showing you, yes, you might be eating ground beef, cabbage, and carrots every single day, but that's going to be getting turned into an Italian wedding soup, a Texas beef chili, and the Asian beef lettuce cups. So, yes, you have the same main components, but the flavor is entirely different, so you're not getting bored. And again, 26 weeks of meals is here for you to not have to think about. You can start at week 1 and go all the way to week 26 and do it again, and then you've had meal prep for the entire year without you having to think about anything. And if you do follow that routine, and you do what I say by stocking up on those pantry goods and planning your garden and your homestead, the plants you grow this year, the animals you raise this year around this book, you will not be spending money. If you're somebody who likes to prep, you can throw all that money that you'd be spending on meat and vegetables and produce at the grocery store on, dry preps, pantry goods, other items that you might need if you want to buy generators, or if you're saving up for the Harvest Right freeze dryer like I am, or just different things. You're able to save so much money and so much time by this. So highly, highly recommend Cook Once, Eat All Week by Cassie Joy Garcia. You will not be disappointed. Click the link in my description and order this right now. Thank you guys so much. Bye.